Hi guys, my name is Ryan, and over the past 3 years, my team and I, we focus on doing something about to integrate AI into a professional UI design tool. And during this process, we realized something else. We found that AI is not only for the professional guys. Like for now, PMs start designing, and designers start coding, and how about coders? Actually, they think they can do everything. So we find that the roles in the product design process becoming very blurry. Last year when I attended this conference, the name is UX Nordics. We talk about the topics in UX. And today I come here, the topic becomes to be the future product days. I think it's very good shift because it's also matched with what we have observed this shifting. So all of these things change our mind, and we're trying to do some new things. That is the start of the Paraflow. Today, I will give you a more introduction of what we are thinking about the AI and the human can collaborate together in future product days. Let's start with one question. If you can just pick up one thing, what do you think is the AI changes most for the product design area? Just one thing. From my perspective, I think that AI can turn everyone's ideas into visuals in a very fast way. I was once a PA. I can still remember there are many situations. I just get some weird ideas, but I don't have the time to sketch them out, or I'm lack of the skills to sketch them out. So these ideas just flip away. But for now, there are many AI tools can turn your ideas just a fast prototype in just seconds or just in minutes. If we think about these things to the end game, what will be the end game of the product design with the AI? It's a little like what we watch in the movie, like Iron Man. Tony Stark tell his intelligent assistant Jarvis, told that, okay, Jarvis, could you just make a new program for my new equipment of the Iron Man? And then Jarvis can work that out. So it's very fantastic. That's why we see so many tools like Lovable, Rabbit, V0, and also Bot in just 1 year, and they have very crazy growth, user growth in several months, because they can turn the things from the ideas to apps. I also try these things in Lovable, like I have an idea to build an art gallery, so I want to try it in the Lovable. In just 5 minutes, Lovable can give me back a faster prototype. It's very cool, because I can verify my ideas now. But here the problem happens. The problem is, what's the next? If I have already verified the ideas and I want to continue to polish these things, or I want to develop them out, I find there are so many questions. I even don't know how to start with or how to continue. So I have to go back to the traditional workflows, like to use the Figma to draw the pictures firstly, and then develop by the engineers. I think that many people, when you use the vibe coding tools, you will face the problems that it's very good for you to just verify your ideas by fast prototypes, or you can develop some little app that for self-use or internal use. But if you want to build something to be scaled, it is very hard because you still need to go back to the traditional workflow. So what is the traditional workflow of the product design? I try to draw a picture of that. I skip some workflows, but it is still a very long chain. And you will see there are some different kinds of the tools in this workflow. And the developer is at the end of this workflow, and usually with a team, it is not a small team, and they're responsible for the codings. But if we dive out, there are a very bigger team before the developer is, that means the founders, stakeholders, PMs, and designers, they all involved in a process. And during this process, people will produce some, we mean the intermediate outputs we call specs. These specs is like the MRD, PRD, or user flow, or UIs. All of these things are specs. They are very important because we align by these specs, and we can push the things forward. We see the question is that there is a very big gap between the ideas with app. So what we want to do is try to find a bridge, and that bridge can bridge the gap. So I think this bridge is specs. We take another look of, and another view is that AI coding agent has done a very good job and develops very rapidly in recent years. Like the cursor, if you use that, you will find it is just a copilot in last year. But today, it is not just a copilot. It can autopilot many tasks automatically. And also, we see some AI agents like Cloud Code and also CodeX. And I talked with many senior engineers, and they even write a code by their own anymore. They just ask AI to write that. So there's still a very big blank before the AI coding agent, is that how AI can help people to create these specs together. So what we want to do is to fill this blank. That is Paraflow. We want to create an agent for product design. What is agent? I saw many of you guys heard these terms for more than 100 times, especially in AI era. But if I just pick some of you and randomly ask you what is agent, I think I can get 100 different answers. You may heard some term like environment, tool use, context, these things. They are something like the academic concept for the agent. But for me, I think there is a very simple way to consider about agent is that we treat the AI not just like a tool. We treat AI like a person. That means this person, even though they are very junior at many things, but we treat them, they can act on their own. I think that's the agent. Imagine that you want to hire an agent for you to work. It's just like you hire an intern for you to work. If you want to hire an intern of the product design, what dimensions of the evaluation maybe you want to evaluate this candidate? For me, I think there may be three aspects. The first one is research. That means we want to evaluate how they can gather information both from outside and inside. And second one is the architect. That means some hard skills. We want to make sure that these people have the ability to illustrate their ideas clearly, can write the PRDs, or also can make the UI designs. And collaboration is also very important because we work together to push things forward. So let's start from the collaboration things firstly. When it comes to the AI and human, this topic is totally different because AI is not a real person. It doesn't just sit in front of you. It lives in your computer. Firstly, when we want to build an AI agent, we need to find a way to ensure that the people who want to make product design communicate with this AI in a very natural way. So try to figure that out. I think we need to think from something like the first principle. How people and people communicate with each other. I think it's very natural. We just communicate by chatting, by talking. If I have ideas, I just ask the guys, and I tell my ideas to these guys, and we can work together. But if these things go to the product design areas, sometimes it is a little bit complicated because imagine that you have jumping in a Zoom call with your coworker. If you just have the function about the voice call or the video call, sometimes it's very hard for you to illustrate what you are thinking. At this moment, maybe you need a whiteboard. Okay, you can sketch out your ideas and make it clear to your coworker. And sometimes you can share your screens about the documents you just write to your coworker. So these things is like a common sense and a little stupid. Why we talk about this? What we are doing now is that we try to move this natural interaction and conversation styles to our AI agent. In the Paraflow, on the left sidebar, you will see chat box you are very familiar with, so you can chat with the AI at any time. And in the future, we may also offer a voice function. That means you can just sit down like the ChatGPT. You can talk your ideas with the AI by voice together like a friend, and they can understand and they can brief your ideas. On the right side, there is an infinite canvas. And this canvas, that means AI can create the specs on this canvas, and human can also create things or put things here. And we also have some intuitive interaction, like sometimes if you want to clarify some things more clearly, you just need to point and show, right? We also have some interaction, like you can select any layers, elements in this canvas and just tell AI. And you can either use like the add to mention that. Like in this case, there are several interfaces I think it's OK. I want to ask AI to make a prototype for me. I can just simply select these interfaces firstly and just tell AI by chatting about to make a prototyping for me. The next thing is that how shall we talk with AI? I think it is very different from the product design tool we used before, because the only tip I want to give to you is to talk with the AI agencies that we do not limit our topics. Actually, we can talk anything about the product design to the agents to get the feedback. Perhaps for now, not every scenario they can do things in a very perfect way, but the AI, they evolve in a very rapid way. I think that in the future, if you don't limit yourselves, you just take the patience, you can talk to the agents for the more rounds, and sometimes you can get some surprising results. So the next part, so let's check what this surprising result is. About the architect, I think this part will distinguish us with what we are doing from some general agents like Cloud Code or like menus. Because we are a vertical agent, so we are focused on the product designing, so we try to train our AI to grasp some skill that can make product design specs like a professional guys. As I mentioned before, if you want to make designs, there are a big gap from ideas to prototype. So we need to let AI to create these specs like the PRD, user flow, and also the UI for us. We can try that old case, like I want to build an art gallery. In Paraflow, I can just start with one-line prompt, and then AI, instead of just directly giving a prototyping, in Paraflow, AI will making a plan firstly, and they can generate these specs step by step. Here is the result. I start with one prompt. I want to create an app of the art gallery. And firstly, AI can give me a to-do list about his plan and what he wants to do for these ideas. If he dislikes these things, you can just chat with AI to ask him to make some modifications. After you have confirmed this plan, the AI will create the things on the canvas. And in every step, like the PRD or the user flows, you can stop in any step, and you can modify by yourself, or either you can ask AI to modify for you. And once we have made confirmation about the definition of the ideas about what we want to design, and for now, AI can turn from an AI PM to an AI designer. Here, shows a screen plan. That means information structure of the interface you want to build, and you will find that AI can just turn these things to a good UI. And here, there is a question raised that you may want to ask about how it's about the design style. We also consider about these things. Design styles, where we mean the design system, is very important for the team because you want to keep your branding consistent. In Paraflow now, if you entirely build something from 0 to 1, AI can just recommend you some style guide. It's like to work with a professional agency. They give you some color palette firstly, and then you can choose one of the favorite one. And if you already have some products, that means you already have the styles or product design library, you can just import some typical interfaces of your current design, and then AI can learn about these styles and continue to work based on these styles. Let's continue to generate the rest of the screens of this art gallery, and you will find that every screen will follow the information structure of the screen plans, and also they can keep the styles in a very consistent way. And we can either try more cases, like we don't limit what we talk about the AI. Here is an example about, I already have a profile page for the artist, and here is for Mole. So I want to make these pages like the more vivid, or make my users to feel it is the profile page for Mole. I just come up with the idea that maybe I can use a painting of Mole like the sunrise impression here. And I just ask my AI teammates to try to add some atmosphere to this design page. So I get the result like this. You find that the AI can understand this and also to create a gradient color as the background. And another case is sometimes we want to change more trials about the UX. Like here is the search result page of the paintings. So I want to try more options. You can just tell the AI to do these things like a boss, give me more 3 options. OK, I can get 3 options. And when you have finished all of this user interface, you want to make them to the prototype. It's very important because we want to verify our ideas by feeling what our user feels by prototype. In Paraflow, It is very intuitive. You just need to select the interface you want to make and ask AI by chatting, you can make a prototype for me now. And then there is a prototype will appear in the canvas. It's also one of the specs in the canvas. You can click and view the prototype here. And sometimes you will find that maybe AI made some mistakes with some wrong collections. And here you can totally freely to ask AI to draw a map to show all the connection logic for you. If you found the wrong logic, you can just ask AI to correct that. It is very a new experience to create a prototype. That means you don't need to create so many messy spaghetti on your canvas anymore, I think. And let's back to the first part about the research. That means if we want to AI as a person have a research ability, that means AI need to act as a person like to do this. Because when we do the research, we need to know what our product is, what is the business goal, so we need to understand our domain. And also, we need to talk with our users or get the feedbacks from our CRMs. And we also need to observe and to know what happens in the outside world. That means we need to see other products, what they have done, so we can have a better strategy. And when it turns to the AI side, I think there's two key abilities of the AI. The first one is context, and second one is the search. Context means that AI can understand your business, understand your project in a very entire view. So anytime when you talk to the AI, you don't need to state so many backgrounds anymore. You just like to tell them the information like a person. And the search ability is that means the AI, maybe they can just go outside to search a website. For now, we haven't do something about search yet. Perhaps we hope someday maybe AI can go to the Dribble website to see the most popular trends for now and go back to tell you some suggestion about that. And I will give you a more introduction about the context one. The first thing is that we can just copy our lab website to Paraflow directly. Why this thing is a very important context? Because for me, I think that the website is something like a distilled wisdom of your project. It has rich information. If the AI can know all the information about your website or your project, it can know many contexts about you. And you can also use these functions to just copy your current page to Paraflow and continue to iterate some module or add some new feature. That is work. And also, we try to let the Paraflow connect with the different kinds of platforms. This case shows you that if you have already had some guys in your marketing team has write documents in Notion, we can just connect or sync these documents to the canvas. And then I ask the AI, OK, so could you create a landing page for this campaign? And AI can continue this work. More collect, more context, and we can less talk. And in the future, we want to connect with more popular platform and also including like the Figma. That means you can copy your interface out to the Figma to polish it for the filter, and you can then copy the Figma's interface back to the Paraflow for plan. That is our vision or our thinking about we will create a new paradigm for the product design in the future. The AI IDE will take over the coding part, and I think that maybe Paraflow, we have the opportunity to take care about the specs part. By the way, if you have already finished all the specs in the Paraflow, it will be very easy for you to connect that with the AI IDE that you are used by GitHub. The difference with our specs from other design tools is that maybe you use the MCP of other design tools, but sometimes you find for most situations it doesn't work. The reason for that is because the format of these design tools is very complicated for LLM to understand that. But Paraflow is the AI native agent. So all the format, including the UI interface here, is very easy for AI to understand. That means when you create an interface here and you hand off to the AI IDE, the AI in the AI IDE will be easier to understand that and can create code based on these things. The last part, I want to talk something about the future. We think that maybe in the future, the most important thing is the specs. And the coding is still very important because coding is the basic thing that to build this digital world. By seeing the coding side, I think it is just like some objective things. Because if already we have the specs which are confirmed, coding is just the rest of the work. And we can even write some test case to test whether this coding is matched with the requirement for the specs of we have created. So I believe that in the future, the coding part maybe will evolve into an autopilot way. That means the AI maybe can write most of the codes, and people just need to oversee that. But to the design, I mean the define and design part, I think will go different because it's relatively a subjective thing. Like in the team, we often debate, argue, we want to make our product better, we want to chase a better product design experience. But we know that there is always no best one because it's very subjective, and at last we need to make a decision. Even in the future, I think maybe AI is very advancing. We can still keep this right to make decisions. That means AI may be in the drive seat, but we steer the direction of the product. And another topic I want to share at last is that I talk with different people recently about how they feel AI for the future, and I get very different answers. And I find that many people, they're afraid of AI, they're fear of AI, because we're afraid of security, we're also afraid of that people will be replaced by the AI in most situations, and what's the value of the people. I try to find an answer, or I try to find a good explanation for myself to check what's the origin source of this field is. Then I find some way like hundreds of years ago, all the people think that the Earth is the center of the universe, okay? But we all know that some people stand out and say, we are wrong, Earth is not the center of the universe, Sun is the center of the universe. So how the people feel at that time, I think many people feel of that things. And even some people do some terrible things to prevent people believing these things. But history goes on. Until today, we even know that the sun is not the center of the universe. We don't know where is the center of the universe. But what happens? When we know that we are not the center, but we still think that the human, also the earth, are very unique. So this feeling is very complicated, sometimes a little sad. I try to write a poem to express my feeling. I will read my poem for you, okay? AI runs fast, we move slow. AI feels infinite, we are limited. Perhaps it is our slowness, our limits that shape our taste. So that's my explanation. Can AI have taste? I think it's very hard because AI is infinite. When something is infinite, it's very hard for you to have taste. Just like you ask ChatGPT every day, which one is better? You always get an answer, both are very good. But people, we are limited. We are limited of lifetime. We are limited of the resources, like the money, like other things. We are limited of the attention. So that's the reason we want to create something special. We want to create something beautiful to other people. That thing is the original source of the taste. And I think even in the AI era, we can work together to keep this taste together. That's all for my today's sharing. And welcome to connect me via my LinkedIn. And we also have a booth outside, so if you have any ideas, just come and talk with us. Thank you.